Take a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
Not really bad case of the Mondays. I'd say it's feeling pretty good this week.
It's an adequate Monday. Can we say that?
Because we're getting really close
to
that 1 month that I've been dying for.
Of course.
The month of September.
For obvious reasons. We know why.
A particular type of song that I only get the privilege to play on the month of September, so I can't wait for that. Mm-hmm. A few days away from Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. I've been seeing all sorts of commercials. I'm like, I get it. We're gonna watch it. Just the hype is real.
Absolutely. The hype is incredibly real. Like, we cannot wait for it. It is okay. Yes, we did get Black Widow, but we are officially kicking off the latest phase of the MCU with this movie, and we do have some MCU news as well. So we're going to be talking about that today because there is some sort of a rumor that Disney Plus is kind of on the lookout for specific people to be playing an interesting, I don't know if it's a superhero or an anti-hero because I've never heard of this character before, but it's going to be a Halloween special set for 2022.
Also, Sony has been rolling out some new models of the PlayStation 5, and some curious YouTubers out there got their hands on it, tore it down, and have found, I would say, not a really good discovery. One that could actually imply that the new versions of the PlayStation 5 are probably the worst version out in the market, and you should probably not get them. Why? We'll tell you guys later this hour.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a very interesting rumor. We do have two rumors today. This one being about Apex Legends, and it's not about the game itself, but rather perhaps Netflix is considering, basically, I'm not sure if it's an animated series, a movie, a TV show, but basically they are probably considering adapting it, which is quite interesting and would fall into Netflix's agenda of trying to expand the number of titles they have. But it's very interesting that they would go for a game similar to Apex Legends.
Also, Overwatch has announced that they're going to be changing one of the heroes' names, as you guys know them, McCree. This is due to the fact that it was also the name of one of the former Blizzard developers. As you guys have been tuning in, you know that Blizzard Activision has been dealing with a lot of controversy, lawsuits, and protests from the inside of the company and even outside.
To say the least.
And there's all sorts of reformations. This is sort of like an update on the controversy itself. That and so much more, guys. Be sure to tune in to the show. Text us 4215 and Cilantro Do. Stay locked and stay tuned right here to the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
It was almost a year ago when Fortnite, developers of Epic Games, the developers of Fortnite, actually filed a lawsuit against Apple because of an issue with the App Store guidelines. As you may know, Apple Store takes 30% cut for every transaction made from any type of app that people use. And Fortnite did not like this, and what they actually did is they had their own payment method within the game itself, which then got Apple going all crazy for it. They sent them to court. Fortnite did a whole sort of 1984 video about it, saying we're fighting for the little guys and whatnot.
Which is ironic because, if anything, Epic had its own issues.
Hypocritical moves as well.
Exactly, especially when it comes to crediting people who have created dances, people who have started things way before Fortnite, but then when they come after Fortnite, the Epic Games and Fortnite, they were like, no, we actually thought of that, or, it's our thing, and you guys did not think of it before us. So, hypocritical. So, even the fact they were saying, oh, we're doing it for the small guys, you and I were like, really? Was it for yourself? Was it most likely for yourself rather than the small guys? But some U.S. developers have also posted a class action lawsuit in accordance to what Epic did, and Apple finally settled it.
Yes, they proposed a $100 million payout that would be split by developers who make less than $1 million per year from the App Store. There was even a program implemented by Apple to allow small developers to opt out for a 15% cut for every transaction for their app. But there's also one nifty little thing that comes with this settlement, and that is that now iOS developers can contact their customers with permission, that they can actually they can inform their customers that there is other payment options outside of the App Store. And that way, customers have a choice in buying anything or making microtransactions through Apple Store or directly for the developers.
It's very interesting because, I mean, it is a way of, getting through that issue.
Yeah.
But also, I don't feel like it is a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal at least for the customer side, because for us, people who use Apple, who use applications on iOS, we really didn't know much about these issues in the first place. We didn't know that this was happening in the background. But at the same time, I get it. It's a win for the developers, perhaps, but is it a big win or is it a small step? That's a question.
We'll have to see in due course. But the way I see it is a shift. It's a change big enough to move a mountain, and Apple is that mountain. So in a way, I'd like to say for now, it's a win for those small developers, and I think smart customers who really want to support those small developers will actually, go through the trouble of going to those payment methods instead of paying directly to the App Store.
Well, there you go, guys. Perhaps it's a win for small developers and maybe Epic, probably. They're probably patting themselves on the back for starting this movement, even though we know that there were some, what they say in Arabic, masalih. Very personal masalih when it comes to this whole issue. But nonetheless, a win for the developers out there. Maybe this can help them basically put their foot down and have a lot more agency over the applications and the things they have and the things they do. Mikhail, I have some bad news. Good news for me, bad news for you.
Yeah.
I got a text message.
Oh dear.
8801 that says, I am Aisha's biggest fan.
That's I can live with that.
You can live with that? Can you?
Well, because if that fan loves you in particular, that means that maybe there's someone out there for me as well.
That's a good way of saying. You know what? I'll give you a clap.
I see the cup half full instead of half empty.
I'll give you a clap because you deserve it for that. The showing the sportsmanship within you.
And I'm glad that there's Aisha fans out there. That means they tune in and they love the show.
Yes. Thank you to all the Aisha fans out there. I love every single one of you guys. We're gonna move on to our next story. We're going to be talking about the new PS5 model. We spoke about it a while back, but they're going to be changing some things simply because they've been having some issues producing the parts. So Sony was like, you know what, we can rearrange some stuff. But there are people who have checked it out, who have seen it, who say actually it is a problem and there are lots of failures happening with that model. So we're going to be talking about that coming right up next, right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
In recent news, Sony revealed that they are no longer selling the PlayStation 5 consoles at a loss, surprisingly enough. So that means that they're making more than they are paying to produce. And that's always great news. That's the whole point of a business, is to sooner or later try to break even and make some profit. And with that being said, new PS5 models have started appearing in Australia, Japan, and other parts of the US just earlier this month with a interesting design change, one that comes with a mysterious reduction in weight. Well, thanks to a teardown video by YouTuber Austin Evans, the mystery has been solved, and the mystery is that Sony has changed the heatsink that helps cool the PS5.
Now, obviously, on the get-go, even if you are not much of a tech-savvy person, you can kind of guess how important this piece or this part is, because, I mean, even when you own a PC, you know that they always talk about ventilation, and
Cooling systems
and all that. And we know that the PS5 is quite big. It is not small. It's much bigger than the PS4. And let me tell you, my PS4 overheats like this so easily. So imagine what would happen with the PS5. Now, the issue is, according to the people who have been looking at this model, the new version, they realize that perhaps it is not a good thing, because due to the fact that it is quite a big model, perhaps making the heatsink too small or changing it is not adequate or enough or proportionately enough for the size of this model.
They've actually tested that with these new models. The PlayStation 5 is a lot hotter than the launch console version. So it's ironic to really say this, but it's better if you're going to go out there and get a PS5, get yourself the launch version instead of the ones that are coming out now in the market.
So what you're saying is that I need to get one as soon as possible.
Try to get the earlier models, which is weird. Usually the newer models are the ones that would have some improvements, but this one was a design compromise of some sort.
Apparently.
I think in a sense where what happened is that they cut costs on manufacturing to get a little profit margin, but at the expense that these newer models are going to have cooling issues, and if your PlayStation 5 starts heating up more than usual, then this is probably the case.
I don't know what to say. Like, I know that they're trying to cut some edges with the whole production
issues. This is a very noticeable.
Exactly. Like, is it really a good idea? Are they actually going to go ahead with this? That's the question. Because if this is sort of maybe like some beta versions of the model that they're trying out, testing out right now to see if it's a good or viable option, because if they notice it on the get-go that there's some issues with the heatsink and with heating, then there are going to be a lot of angry and upset people when this version comes out and they realize that no, this isn't the PS5 that we bargained for or we paid this much for, because it is quite expensive
and rare at the same time.
And very rare. So, because what I've heard, I'm not sure about it, I've heard on the internet that they might actually, go ahead and release a big bunch of PS5s.
Yeah, very soon. So this is probably
it. So that means that if it's going to be this version, it's going to be a big problem, to say the least. Good luck to Sony as they navigate through it, and maybe they can perhaps rethink this whole thing and decide on something else. Like, maybe
I certainly hope so.
They should pause and think about something else, especially since the holiday season is coming up very soon, and a lot of people are going to need all these consoles to buy for said season. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, we're going to be talking about that Marvel rumor, because apparently Marvel is developing a Halloween special for Disney Plus based on Werewolf by Night. I've never heard of it, and you guys probably haven't either. So you guys have like a couple of minutes to check it out. Maybe Google this and join the conversation. 4215 Etisalat or 2. We look forward to hearing from you. Stay tuned and stay locked to Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95.
I feel like I miss mockumentaries. It's been such a long time since we got any sort of mockumentary that was, I'd say, that left its impact on the filming industry, or basically in fans out there, as a cult classic or just as a fun movie. But apparently Paramount is trying to revive the genre with an interesting take on it, because there's going to be a TV show that is going to be based on a League of Legends esports team.
You know what makes this so more fascinating? Is that Paramount is also partnering up with Riot Games, the developers of League of Legends, to work on this television show. Now, the show follows a fictional League of Legends professional team looking to win their first championship after a string of near misses. And in quotations, it says, to win it all, they will need their prodigy, a 17-year-old rookie, and their 27-year-old veteran to put their egos aside and work together. That's sort of a synopsis for the show. But already, right from the get-go, there's so much real esports and these tournaments have so much drama and so much talk behind them. I have this one YouTube channel that discusses in detail just esport players and their stories and their rivalries, and this is like perfect where like reality can real life can imitate art and art imitates real life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's so much that can be done with this.
I'm already sold. This sounds amazing. This sounds like it's a lot of fun. Like, I cannot stress how excited I am for this. I mean, it's basically Paramount realizing that, hey, people's comedic sense of comedy or comedic senses have changed. They need to adapt to them. And yes, we've spoken about this extensively on the afternoon Karak about how they need to keep up with it because the new string of comedies are getting better. They're very different in comparison to what we had 10 years ago. We can easily compare the likes of How I Met Your Mother versus Ted Lasso, and you can tell the massive differences between them. Same goes for Method and Mythic Quest in comparison to something like Friends. They are very, very different, and there are 10, 20 years in between them. And if you think about the comedy TV shows and movies that have actually stayed true to their part or actually managed to get through the change in taste, the only one I can think of is Modern Family, to be honest. And it's basically like a mockumentary itself. And that just tells you how interesting and important that genre is.
Honestly, the last one that I've watched that was pretty good was Silicon Valley, and it would make fun of all of these like tech startups and how like Google and Apple and Twitter, they basically control all the innovations and whatnot. So to have something like that, but in the world of gaming and having Riot Games themselves in on the joke. I don't play League of Legends. I've avoided that game like the plague, but I will watch the show.
The amount of times I've nearly slipped and gotten into it, but the amount of people who also tell me it's very toxic, I cannot wait to see that translated into the small screen because it's going to be a TV show on Paramount Plus. And again, it's similar to Mythic Quest and the way it is taking or making fun of the genre, so I cannot wait to watch it, and same goes for Mikhail, I'm sure of it. We're going to be taking a short break. Coming up next is Aisha and Mikhail Suggest, so stay tuned for that and so much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
It's almost 5 p.m.
That was Afternoon Karak.
For dessert,
Aisha and Mikhail suggest.
All right, time to wrap up the show, but this is usually our favorite time because when we leave the hour, we like to leave you guys with a final suggestion. But before this, guys, if you missed out on any of our discussions, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pulse 95 Radio. If you love what we do here and you want to support us and you want to keep tuning in to the episodes that are on the Afternoon Karak and all the talk shows, subscribe to Pulse 95 Radio. We also have a podcast alternatives available on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Rami Apple Podcasts. Just type in Afternoon Karak and you're good to go. Now, for the final suggestion, courtesy of Aisha Mazmi.
This is me picking up on what Mikhail suggested yesterday, and also because, as one does when they're scrolling around TikTok, they come across some interesting content, and this is a content creator that I've followed for a very long time, and she often makes some really nice meals. They look very simple. Usually they are one-person meals, which is always, perfect for me or perfect for a lot of you guys, especially as you are either working from home, even though I know a lot of people have went back to their offices, and the ones who are still studying at home. Now, my suggestion is to basically pile up these recipes and do some prep work ahead of time, maybe the night before or in the morning. I know you guys probably wait until the last second to get up. I understand that, same here, but maybe try to prep some meals, maybe cut some vegetables, some fruit, etc. Make sure your bread is sliced, or at least just get some bread in the first place. Have your rice ready or whatnot. Also that when it is time for lunch, you are good to go and you don't need to worry about, should I order? Do I have time to make this food? Because I know that if you have an hour break, you're going to take a good maybe 10, 20, 15 minutes of prep, of cooking, and barely enough time to enjoy it. But if you have prepped these, then you can basically just Take a good 5 minutes to heat up the food or fry it up really quickly and enjoy it. And perhaps you can also enjoy tuning in to Pulse 95 because we do have Yellow Home, Big House picking up right here on the airwaves right here in Sharjah. So make sure you're tuning in and saying loud to none other than Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.